Hey everybody, welcome to the D-Rich Show. This is D-Rich, and I want to go ahead and welcome my audience in to the channel. Thanks for tuning in today. Today is December 12th, 2021. Happy Tuesday, guys, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. When I used to play professional sports and we had practice on Tuesday, it was Competition Tuesday. So I'm not sure if we're in a competition here, but we're going to try to compete to put out some good quality content. So thank you for my subscribers. Make sure you guys continue to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell on your right there in the description there. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it. So I just wanted to go back a little bit to yesterday's show and kind of go over some of the things that we talked about, kind of like a recap. And I talked to you guys a little bit about gold and silver. Also making sure that you guys are stocking up on some of your necessities, like your batteries, your water, your non-perishable items, candles, things like that, so that if in case there's some sort of blackout, there's some sort of glitch coming here. I'm not sure what part of the United States you're from, but I'm starting to see a lot of people get these glitches, blackouts across the globe as well. So I just want to give you guys ample enough time to kind of gather your ideas and your thoughts, just to get a couple items in your household if you don't have them already, just to prepare, just in case. If you need them, great. If you don't, it's still great, because then you still have them on deck. So anyway, guys, we talked about gold and silver, and what I wanted to do, start off first, let's just get into the coin market cap, get that out of the way, since we talk cryptocurrencies here on the channel, but we also talk about other things that relate to what's going on in the world and how it might relate to the market. So anyway, guys, Bitcoin is trading at $34,362, up over a little bit above 6% in the last 24. Ethereum hit $1,000 again at $1,083, up 10%, and XRP is at 29 cents, almost 30 cents. So again, I'm not sure what your position is. It's green. It's up over almost 7%. So if there's a dip, obviously you want to get back in there and try to accumulate. Even if you're brand new to cryptocurrencies, being able to get XRP before any of the exchanges here in the United States halt the trading of XRP, you want to get you a little bag before, because you know what, on the flip side, once we get through the light, or through the darkness to the light, XRP might be the light at the end of the tunnel that you're looking at. Anyway, guys, Litecoin $136.22, Cardano 28 cents, almost 29 cents. Bitcoin Cash $465, Polkadot $8.31, and Stellar bumped into the top 10 at 28 cents, almost 29 cents, up 22%, almost 23% over the last 24 hours. Chainlink $14.33, and Binance Coin dropped to number 11, $38.45. So yesterday we talked about how the market was red. Today the market is green. So if you were able to buy, you had 20-30% dips in the market, and now we're looking at those dips turn into some other gains to be had. So if you like money, trade into those coins when they dip, build up that portfolio. So anyway, guys, I won't go too much further into that, but I just wanted to go ahead and start the show with a verse from Isaiah 56:11, and this is going to lead into where we're going to end the show, because you're going to understand why we lead with this scripture. They are greedy dogs which can never have enough, and they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, every one for his own gain, from his own quarter. And the reason why I start with this is because at the end of the day, we have these technocrats who are censoring us, that have made billions of dollars, trillions of dollars while we're in a pandemic, but yet businesses, local businesses, self-owned businesses have been shut down, but they're, hampering you. So they're greedy dogs. They're not ever giving back to the people. They're only continuously robbing from the people. And this is why silver and copper are important. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because when you are in, a pandemic, or when you're in a crisis, these precious metals can, lead you somewhere where you can barter, things like that. I'm not saying that it will come to that, but always remember that the pennies that have the most copper were stopped by I believe 1982 here. So we'll go ahead and read this. Pennies in the United States were made of pure copper from 1793 to 1837, and then contained varying amounts of copper throughout the years before converting to a majority 97% zinc in 1982. At that point, the penny continued to be made with a small 2.5% copper. So guys, any pennies that you get from from breaking bills, from anything that you have, 1982 and before, real copper. So think about that. I'm the type of guy that if I'm in public and I see coins on the floor, on the ground, I'm not embarrassed to pick them up, because at the end of the day, whether it be a dime, whether it be a nickel, whether it be a penny, whether it be a quarter, or whatever it is that I find, that's something else, something that's added to my balance sheet as a positive. And sometimes those small increments lead to bigger increments. So I wanted to point that out. If you're a collector of coins like I am, I always separate the trash from what I need, and I go cash that in to get other money to do other things with and keep the real stuff. Silver, if you're wondering about silver, U.S. silver coins, when did they end and what they're worth? In the early 1960s, the silver supply for the nation's coinage was dwindling rapidly as Congress and the administration debated over silver's future role in coinage. The silver market jumped 10% immediately and another 30% by 1962. This set the stage for the complete elimination of silver from our coinage by the end of 1964. It was then that the U.S. stopped making silver coins. I'll go ahead and leave this in the description so you guys could go over it yourself. But just keep in mind that silver and copper, gold, things like that, precious metals, they're going to make a comeback, because we talked about that, because it's in the Constitution. And when they continue to print money, the Federal Reserve, the Western Private Central Bank, then that means that your money is worthless. So if I have to pay $1,800 for an ounce of gold, that means I need $1,800. Okay. When you go back into history, I believe an ounce of gold was $35. It went over $2,000 last year, and I believe that it'll go that way again. So do yourself some due diligence, add a little bit here and there to your stash. You get you little ounces, get you a little specks of gold, or, grams of gold, whatever, because I believe the specks, the micro specks of gold will be valuable, whether you believe it or not, because the value of gold obviously has to increase. That is just my opinion. I'm more sold on precious metals than I am Bitcoin or anyone else calling that a store of value or digital gold. That is baloney. What I do call it is fool's gold. So don't be fooled to thinking that that is digital gold, because no one's ever claimed that, only the Bitcoin maxis. But if you do your due diligence and do research, we'll find other ways to tell you or discredit that idea. Again, I'm not trying to create FUD. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I will tell you, it doesn't pass the test with me. It doesn't pass the smell test. Okay? It smells like a bona fide Ponzi scheme. Just go ahead and look up what a Ponzi scheme is. And then tomorrow or next couple days, I'm going to break some other things down to give you some ideas of what you see, who's involved, and why you need to watch out. But anyway, moving forward, we're going to get right into the Federal Reserve. And the reason why I bring the Federal Reserve up is because they have a balance sheet. Okay, they say that we're trillions of dollars in debt. That is true. However, if you look at the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, these guys are holding a large balance sheet, and it has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with, people being in debt. They want us in debt, but it's the Federal Reserve, the central banks, that want to keep us indebted. But now you have somebody that is very smart in business, have done or dealt with banks throughout the course of time, knows how to navigate through these central banks and navigate through bankruptcy and things like that. So when there's a debt jubilee, these people will be holding the balance sheet at their demise. So I'll leave this credit and liquidity programs and balance sheet, here in description. But what I want to point out here is Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. The Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, provides the nation with a safe, flexible, and stable monetary and financial system. Guys, we know that's not true. None of it is stable. It's not flexible, and it's not safe. Okay, as soon as they increase the percent rate or the interest rate, then that's when the economy crashes. So when we have a low interest rate, there's nothing that they could do, because pretty much it's kind of like a 1-for-1. There's no interest attached, and that is going to happen moving forward. Okay, so keep those things in mind when it comes to expanding your thoughts, expanding your I hope ideas. Well, I hope. Well, when you do enough research and you are grounded in your ideas, your beliefs, then you know that these things are going to happen. And the reason why they're going to happen is because we have seen some things that will absolve these central banks. Okay, I think it was Thomas Jefferson that got rid of the last bank. All right, the last private bank here in the United States. And why do you think that they are coming so heavy again? It's because they don't want to allow you to be free. So it's a battle. So as the United States rips themselves away from the rest of the world to be their own sovereign country, then this will allow other countries to see that we need to rip away from the private central banks, the the IMF, these corporations are these businesses are banks that have just pillaged, our resources and stuff like that. So that's not here nor there. Just keep your eyes on the prize, because in the next several weeks and months, we're going to go to sound money that we talked about yesterday. But I want to go ahead and get this quote out by Mark Twain. In the beginning of change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated, and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. And the reason why I bring that quote up is because right now, whether you're left, right, Republican, Democrat, independent, whatever it is, this is nothing to do with any of that, because we are all human beings, and we are all in the need to stand up for the country, stand up for our beliefs and our values, because they are stripping our freedoms away from us right before our very eyes. Okay, and the Constitution. I'm going to be using the Constitution a lot because a lot of people don't know about the Constitution. They don't read the Constitution. And when the Constitution hits them, they're like fighting. And no, it's not this. No, it's not that. That's wrong. Because we have become, we have become cell phone oriented. We use our fingers more than we do our thoughts or ideas. And when it comes to writing, when it comes to reading, our skills have diminished over the years. They've eroded. You get it? So like if you hear somebody talking, and this is why people are so freaking emotional, is because they don't know how to decipher when someone's listening to a speech, that there's no commas, there's no abbreviations, there's no like breaks in between. So they don't know when to stop a full complete sentence, knowing that it's a run-on sentence because it's a speech. And they don't know how to separate the words. This is just basic knowledge that we're missing. And they've dumbed us down. So this is why I'm an avid book reader. This is why I like to read and write. Because it's important to keep those skill sets sharp. But yet, we're so sharp at tweeting. We're so sharp at, with the abuse of our tweets and stuff like that. And yes, I've been guilty of it. But I've removed myself from that so that we can give better ideas moving forward. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, Insurrection Act of 1807. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is United States federal law that empowers the President of the United States to deploy the U.S. military and federalized National Guard troops within the United States in particular circumstances such as to suppress civil disorder, insurrection, or rebellion. The act provides a statutory exception to the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which limits the use of military personnel under the federal command for law enforcement purposes within the United States. Before invoking the powers under the Act, 10 U.S.C. 254 requires the President to first publish a proclamation ordering the insurgents to disperse. As part of the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, these provisions are now codified as amended. There are constitutional exceptions to the Posse Comitatus restrictions rooted in the President's own constitutional authority. Defense Department guidelines describe Homeland Defense as a constitutional exception to Posse Comitatus restriction, meaning that the measures necessary to guarantee national security from the external threats are not subject to the same limitations. Now, guys, we knew what mainstream media try to put out there as far as an insurrection by the current president's people. If you are you have a very keen eye and a sharp eye, you'll know that this was a setup. And you also know that there was Antifas coming through in there, and you'll find videos where this was staged and they had all this stuff prepared. And as you recall, if you recall before this happened, Mayor Bowser called out the National Guard. So then what that does is that the president really doesn't have to do anything. So if the mayor or whatever calls them, then they call them. He's there just to support them. He's the commander-in-chief who controls the military and the National Guard, where they can work in conjunction with one another. Now, the president did publish a proclamation ordering the insurgents to disperse when he said, go home, go in peace, and they cut it off. And that's when you started seeing the suspensions, because they didn't want people to see that, because they don't want people to understand what he did there. If you are a constitutionalist and you follow the rule of law, you'll know these things. You'll know that what the president did, he followed the rule of law step by step by step. He went from the lower courts to the upper courts. He went through the channels, the chain of command that was necessary. Now think about it. If you're at your job you have a assistant manager, a manager, then you have the upper-ups and things like that. You have to go to the first person first. If that does not work out for you at that point in time, then you have exhausted that means. Then you get to go to the next step up. If that doesn't work, then you move up further to get the result that you're looking for. If none of that works, then now you proceed on a different measure. So what we've seen is the Insurrection Act. I believe it was signed not too long ago, a couple nights ago, by the president. And this is why you see everything happening in D.C. You look at the fly zones, the no-fly zones in that particular area, and you'll start to understand that they are not going to let those people out of there before there's going to be arrest, before there's going to be civility and order. So when you see these people on the ground, whether it be there for now, you better believe it's going to happen across the United States, because this is what draining the swamp means. You have to drain the freaking swamp. You have to get rid of these bad actors, especially if it does harm to our confidence in our elected officials, because they work for us. We don't work for them. And we can see that a lot of people don't want to work for us, but that's okay. So I want to point this out so you can see where we're going with this and see how this is all playing out. Then in 2018, the president signed Executive Order 13848 imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in the United States election. Okay, I'll just read this first part real quick. By the authority vested in me and the President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including International Emergency Economic Powers Act 50 U.S.C. 1701, IEEPA, the National Emergency Act, of the Immigration and Nationality Act. All this stuff is involved. Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the ability of persons located in the whole of or in substantial part outside of the United States to interfere in or undermine public confidence in the United States elections, including through the unauthorized accessing of election and campaign infrastructure or the covert distribution of propaganda and disinformation, constitute an unusual, extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. I'll go that far. You guys have to do the rest of the reading in this article and come to your own conclusions. Now, why would this president sign this in 2018 after the primaries? You got to ask yourself. He knows. He knew what they did then. He knew what they were going to do in the future. So he had to sign this executive order. And there are going to be restrictions and sanctions that these people are going to have to suffer. Now, especially if it's a foreign entity like Iran, like Russia, like China, these places that has, a great influence on the world, or even politicians who might have been compromised by blackmail, by bribery, things like that. And these things are important to save our Constitution, to save our sovereignty, to save our life, the way of living. Because I believe if the United States falls, it's not going to be good for the rest of the world, because this is what, will filter through the nations. And we don't want that. I don't know what it means to be in another country. I don't know what it means to live there or whatnot. And I just hope that, wherever you might be, that, none of this, authoritarian type government, wants to suppress you and, keep you, oppressed. So, we have somebody here it appears that that person is working for us, this president. So this is why we have these things. Now, moving forward, we have the 14th Amendment. Okay. And the 14th Amendment is very important. And I'll read it. The 14th Amendment addresses many aspects of citizenship and the rights of citizens. The most commonly used and frequently litigated phrase in the amendment is equal protection of the laws, which figures prominently in a wide variety of landmark cases including Brown v. Board of Education, racial discrimination, Roe v. Wade, reproductive rights, Bush v. Gore, election recounts, Reed v. Reed, gender discrimination, the University of California, and back, racial quotes in education. And the reason why I bring this is because the president can invoke the 14th Amendment because this allows him to dissolve the government. It allows him to get rid of them. All right. So you go ahead and read into this. All right. So if these people are working with, foreign people, and it comes out that these people have, done this, they get their rights stripped from them. They don't get to do any of this anymore. Okay. So I just want to point all this stuff out because we are witnessing the destruction of the old guard. It's going to be rough. It's not going to be easy because you know that these people, 90% is corrupt. It's bad. And the reason why, we need to know these things because we don't want to have the left pushing their narrative and using propaganda to, fight us and manipulate and brainwash us because of, their status. But I do believe that their time is going to be limited and their time is going to be coming short. But I also wanted to throw this out there. On December 29, 2012, President Barack Obama signed H.R. 4310, the 2013 National Defense Authorization Act. Section 1078 of the bill authorizes the use of propaganda inside of the United States, which had previously been banned since 1948 when the Smith-Mundt Act was passed. So, now, you can take whatever you want out of it, but when you have, a propaganda act signed by the former president, then what they can do is whatever the freak they want to do at that point. And what they're doing is sedition, treason, RICO Act, you name it. And all these people will be brought up on charges soon. So you just keep on believing what you believe, have faith in it, trust in it, know that everything is going to be all right. In my humble opinion, Joe Biden will not be the president of the United States. We cannot go back down that road because of their wicked ways. And by gosh, if those guys get into the White House, then I could just tell you right now, it's bad. Because I know that laptop is sick. I've seen some of it. But anyway, let me just go ahead and read Section 3 before I end the show. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States, under any state, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer in the United States, or as a member of the state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall be engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or giving aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such a disability. Really, the president doesn't really need any authorization at this point because he's done everything that he needs to do. He's stepped back, he's stepped down, and he's actually conceded. Really not concede. He's only conceded to step by so the military can take over. We are under military law at this moment. Doesn't necessarily need to invoke a martial law or anything like that, because we've already been in a national emergency, which all 50 states have signed off on. So at the end of the day, they can come up with all their crap and say this president is doing this president is doing that, blah, 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 blah. But yet you never said anything about the riots. You never said anything about the looting. You never said anything about burning down buildings, the churches, precincts, and harming officers, breaking into officer vehicles, destroying officer vehicles, defunding the police. You've never said anything about that. But as soon as they go and march for their freedom in the Capitol, and you have a couple bad actors, broken windows and things like that, it's nothing in comparison to what we've seen and witnessed for months in and months out. And this is just was allowed to happen. You know, it was peaceful protests. It was all this other stupid stuff that they called it. Okay, you could go look down the line and see what crap they allowed to be put up with. So anyway, guys, I want to leave it at that. I don't want to go too far in it because I don't want people to get upset or offended. But anyway, I'm just only going to speak the truth, my truth. And if you want to continue to listen to me, I appreciate it. Again, I appreciate all my subscribers and all my listeners. And before I go, I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to XRP5. So if you want to go listen to him, he does have a website where you get all the XRP community news and things like that. I think it's xr5.com, xrphy.com. And also want to give a big shout out to the person that was on the channel yesterday, and that person gave me a very, very nice compliment. And you know, it really was important for me to hear this. And this person's name is Decadent Dro, and that person in the video said that they just found me and watched a few of my videos and subscribed, and that they think that I'm very insightful, and they want to thank me for my research, and that I should have way more subscribers, and then that they would also be stocking up on necessities as well, and just in case. So I want to give a shout out to that person, and subscriber on this channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate the compliments. I'll continue to do my best and do my due diligence when it comes to presenting information to this community that I'm going to grow. We are on a journey together, so you know, we'll get this thing better. You know, I'll work on my editing skills. I'll work on my communication skills and things like that, and breakdowns, and hopefully I can get better with all of it. This is all brand new to me. I do this just because it's in entertainment purposes. It's fun for me. It allows me to get whatever I'm thinking out and share. Because I do talk a lot, I think. You know, I think a lot of people think I talk a lot when I'm at work or even when I'm at home. But, you know, this is just my outlet. So anyway, guys, hang in there. Keep your faith. Keep your trust. Keep your belief that everything is going to be all right. Because there's not a time where there is going to be all right. Because, yes, there's going to be tough times. But you have to be a tough person and get through it. Stay strong and stay in prayer. So that's it. I hope that you enjoyed, you know, the content today. Again, you can also follow me on Gab. I'll be on Gab, Bitchute as well if you use those sites. And if you like to listen to podcasting, I do have the Drich Show, which is on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Breaker, Anchor.fm. I will be adding that to those outlets as well. So if those things are in your, you know, your view, and that's what you like to use, I just want to give multiple, you know, ways of, you know, listening to me, whether you like to see the information or hear the information. Some people are visual learners, which is always important because visually you get to kind of see what's going on, as far as that's concerned, as well. So anyway, I'll leave the articles in the description as well. Thanks for tuning in. That's my time for today. Have a wonderful evening. If you are locked up, or you know whatever you want to call this junk, just hang in there, hang tight. I think that we're going to start seeing some changes. We got pent up demand coming out. People going to be getting back to work, getting that stimulus check, things like that. On the flip side of this, we are several days away, like 8 days away from inauguration. We'll see what happens. We don't know. But again, it's exciting times. Okay. So anyway, do something different. If it's reading a book, and again, if it's building that puzzle. And building that puzzle can be just building a puzzle that you put on the table and build that, but it can also be starting with the pieces to yourself, and building up who you are as the individual that you want to be. Where do you see yourself at the end of this year? Hopefully we get a lot accomplished, and we'll check in at the end of the year, and hopefully we have accomplished a whole lot together. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. Remember to always treat everyone with class, dignity, and respect. Bye-bye.